Alright, I'm 3 seconds live. Good evening, everybody. Good morning to some. We have many followers all over the globe. And the only time I used to speak about the globe was when I was smoking something out of it years ago. But tonight I have the privilege to say that I haven't had to do that for a long time. And so, you know, I'm obviously, I say again that I feel that every day that I get to spend alive is definitely grace, and I take it as borrowed time. So tonight, I don't know if it's a specific recovery topic or if it's just to do with addiction in general, or you know, just a message in general, and it can maybe make us think a little bit about the privileges we got, especially when it comes to the weather, especially in the Cape Town area today. Good evening, guys. Your names are popping up here pretty quick, and I can't always read that fast. But good evening, all. It's good to have people watching us and supporting us, and it's a way of contact, especially during this time where it's lockdown. We can't get to meetings. You know, I don't only feel for the addicts and those support group meetings, for those meetings, but I also I feel for the families, you know, that also go to there's some more support groups like Al-Anon. There's support groups like the different church groups for families and things like that, because I always keep them in my heart and mind, where I'm dealing with parents and with people and loved ones of addicts and so on. So that is the way it works, is that by me dealing with them and keeping it fresh in my mind, is it reminds me of the pain that I went through. Because what happens is the addict goes through a period of time where we're desperate. Good evening, how's it guys? I'm seeing a lot of highs and hellos and good evenings pop up that are coming past pretty quickly. So hi all again. Thank you for being here. And I always keep those people in mind, because it's been a difficult, trying time. We've seen addiction recovery and addiction go full circle in many ways, where you know, in this time where there hasn't been support group meetings, people and families and things like that haven't had the support of the groups and things. So with this meetings, we've had people reach out to us. We've had people comment and say that it's a good thing and that it's helped them. But on the flip side of it, we've also seen the repercussions of no meetings being around. So, you know, first of all, obviously it's a privilege, and we're happy and glad that amongst us and all our viewers, that we can share we can share these meetings and things like that. So I think what one of the big points that I want to talk about is, you know, to see a country come together and you know, support people in need with this COVID relief. There was many food parcels made up, and organizations and people that really came together that helped people in need. And you know, there's a terrible stigma attached to addiction, where people believe that the addict wants to be where he is, and all of that. But you know, just on that, like as I said, I'm not sure if it's a addiction recovery meeting, if it's a addiction meeting in general, or if it's just a human meeting. But we have to keep in mind that there's many an addict out there that is in this weather, on the streets and everything tonight. And we had a young man that came here today, you know, and we wish that everybody had this young man's willingness. You know, he walked out of the southern suburbs, far southern suburbs of the Western Cape, into the Boerland area, and hiked here, and in the rain, with no food, no anything, and you know, in today's world, nobody's going to give you anything for free. Nobody's going to give you accommodation for free. Nobody's going to look after you, and let alone if you got the stigma attached to you that you're an addict. I promise you, nobody wants to give you anything. They don't even want to give you a chance at working for them and things like that. So it's made it very difficult. And you know, there's obviously the side of it where, are we all still human, or have we become so numb to the guys standing at the robots, to the guys sleeping outside tonight that is in the rain? And myself and Mr. Hall, we had to have a discussion, you see, to see what you know, in our desperate and trying times, what we would expect another human being to do for us. And we allowed this young man in, and he was broken, eh? Yeah, it's a bit emotional thinking of it, because there's many guys that have come here in that condition, that have gotten the opportunity, and we couldn't turn him away. We're not saying that it's an open door policy for anybody and everybody just to rock up here and expect that the doors are going to be open, but there was something in this man's eyes that knew it was his time. And that is the point that I want to get to, is that how many of us is going to open our doors and help to save the addicts and to save our country and the pandemic of addiction? How many of us are going to do that? How many people are going to pull together like they did with the food organizations and the packing and the COVID relief and feeding people and things like that? And how many people are going to give, especially if they're not funded by government or not out there pleading poverty, or you know, more than half of our guys are sponsored, and the guys that are doing well in their recovery will always say, you know, take a little bit from me to give to the next guy. It was amazing to see how the guys that are doing well in the program, because obviously this gentleman got here with nothing. He got here with his drenched wet clothes that he had on his back, and a temporary ID book. And quickly the guys pulled together. He had his toiletries, he had fresh clothes and things like that. And you know, the saddest thing that I want to say is that the people that can afford recovery and that can afford rehabs and things like that, or that have the support, don't want it. But now, why does addiction have to go that far, that to the point where everybody, all your loved ones, everybody is cut off before you're ready to accept help or to take the chance and grab it when you get given a chance? When has an addict had enough? What is the difference between giving an addict a chance and enabling? What is the difference between boundaries and giving somebody a chance? You know, obviously we speak about the tough love, where if you're in a situation where your son is draining you or your loved one is draining you, it should straight be, the option should be rehab or the streets, but we don't all have that option. But I believe if we pull together in some kind of way, no matter which way you're helping the cause, that we can make a difference. We can make a difference, because we've proven it with the COVID food thing that so many people has built up and run. But the other thing is, where do parents draw the line? Where do loved ones draw the line? Do they just keep helping and keep helping? And the best way, in my opinion, is the only way you can help an addict is to send them to somebody that has come out of addiction. Because you're either helping them to their death, and helping them maybe just for that moment, but are you helping them to get the real help that they need? Because our biggest tool against addiction recovery is the recovering addict. And the guy standing at the robot is a potential recovering addict. And the numbers have gone up in the hundreds, times the hundreds, in the last half a decade, of so many more people suffering from addiction. I mean, the people out there that wouldn't give me half a chance today are phoning me to try and help them with their kids. The people that wouldn't look at me or give me a lift even in the rain, when I was honestly just walking home from work, just trying to get by, riddled in addiction. So I know we speak about the enablement and things like that, but addicts need a chance, man. Addicts are sick people. Why would I steal from myself? Why would I degrade myself? Why would I take myself down to the point where I wouldn't do things that I'm doing if I wasn't sick? You know? So we also obviously got the difference between where many addicts, and I've done it myself in the deepest times when I was in my sickest state of mind, where I use the addiction as an excuse, where addicts use their past circumstances for also as an excuse to not recover. Excuse me. Where they say, I can't go forward because of my past, but we can't do anything about the past. It's the same as a parent or a loved one or a person that wants to help or support somebody. How do we help those people? We send them to the right places. But I'm almost begging people tonight to pull together so that we can help more. I'm not saying that we're looking for donations or that kind of thing. I'm asking people in general to pull together as humans, as we think of the oak standing by the robot this evening, as we think of the oak sleeping on cardboard or in the shop fronts and behind the churches and all of that. Our local graveyards has become squatter camps for all different breeds and creeds and colors of people. So the one of the funny things, you know, there always has to be a little bit of humor in it as well, because we human, is we always explain to the newcomers and the people that we give a chance to, and you know, I was in the same situation, and I explained to this gentleman that Mr. Hall took in today with an open heart, you know, without a doubt. To be honest with you, it's it's one of the times that I seen Mr. Hall with tears in his eyes, and he was asking, where is all the people that could have helped this man along the way? We had to review our situation, because it is just a dog eat dog world, and things do just cost money. But he said he cannot turn this man away, because we could see that it's a life and death situation, and that's what it comes to for everybody. And I said to this man, I said to him, there's recovery terminology, and I said to this man, I said to him that the biggest advice that I can sort of give you is, that your best thinking got you to this state in your life. The biggest advice I can give you is that you cannot manage your own life anymore, and we can help you manage it, but you need to surrender. And his words to me was, and it might even sound a little bit funny because it's spiritual recovery cliches and principles. He said to me, but I have nothing to surrender. So then I said to him, you need to surrender to self. Your ideas, your thinking, your pictures that you have in your mind, and what you want it to be like. If I was in a situation that I was, and we use our good traits or our bad traits that we used to use for drugs, if I can use that and the ways and means and the schemes that we used to come up with to get drugs and to do all of that, where's the recovering addicts out there that should be helping their brothers, man? What message are you carrying? If I was by the means, I would be picking up addicts instead of drugs. So, families have been hurt. There's a stigma attached to addicts. But where as people, as a nation, as we quick to, help people with like I say again, with the COVID, but who's helping the addicts there? What other places would take people in so freely if they just rocked up at their gate? Would you help a person that just rocked up at your gate asking for a place to stay, for a plate of food, for help to get into rehab? Not all of us, we're not saints and we're not holier than thou. But are we giving back in some kind of way? Are we counting our blessings every day? Or are we looking down on the people that suffer with addiction? And as we say, the 12 steps of recovery is a lifestyle. So what happens then is, in a situation like that, and this is just a quick example of how we can use it, is, and anybody can use it. If something happens around me that I don't like, then I am powerless over what the other person is doing. I can't save them, but I can take the courage to try and help them, or to try and find out. Give somebody that extra 5 minutes. And that's why I say the people that need it and want it, that come in here willing to do anything, can't afford it. And the people that are being enabled and that can afford it don't want it. And that's why the question comes, that how much more do we have to go through before we want it? And we've got a massive support system here. We've had inquiries today. I can't tell you. I don't know if it's because of the weather. I don't know if it's because people are back at work. I don't know if it's because families have maybe spent time with their own families during this lockdown and seen the seriousness of their loved one's addiction. I bought lots of smokes before the lockdown. Plenty. So, we're powerless over what somebody else does. If we react in the same way, we're going to get the same result. If you enable, you need to do something different to help the person in need. And that is an outcry to our nation and people abroad and wherever it is that you're helping. We're not saying help the RAEL organization, we're saying help the addict. Addicts need help. And they can get it in the right places. I'm living proof. And so step 2 for the addict or non-addict is we ask God to restore us to sanity. Because we've been repeating the same things. So we're getting the same results all the time. But in the 12 steps, the third step says that we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God. Now, would God have turned that man away from the gate today if he was asking for forgiveness or for help? And we can forgive addicts, we can grow together, we can get over it. But the addict needs treatment first. Once we get the illness out of the way and dealt with, we can work on it. Because it's a human being. We cannot give up on anybody that is still breathing. I've seen people come from below the pavement and rise up here and get jobs through Mr. Hall. And through the RAEL organization. Why? Because if us as recovering addicts could put that effort into getting the next drink or drug, why can't we put that effort into helping the next fellow man? I think that we've become a selfish nation. And I speak for South Africa now. I know our videos spread far and wide. And I'm glad that this organization can help. And in all the responses and replies that we've gotten from people that have been missing meetings and things like that because of the closed doors. And we turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand Him. And then after that we take inventory. Am I doing the right thing or wrong thing by sending this man away? If I'm doing the wrong thing, I have to admit it and ask for forgiveness, But I won't be doing the wrong thing if it's God's will and if I'm taking inventory. Why do we look down on addicts, man? Is it because we haven't been through it? I'm not saying that we help and Mr. Hall helps every single addict. But I'm saying together and by sharing and things like that, we all can help so much more. I was also sleeping in the rain at a stage in my life. At that stage, I didn't know Mr. Hall. So tonight's meeting is more sort of, let's help each other. Let's help each other. Let's reach out to the next man. I can't, even though I know that the addict is going to be using using the next money for his drink or his drug or his fix. I cannot stop at a robot with a person standing there and not give him something, because I've been there. And it can happen to any of us, because we felt during this COVID, we felt during this lockdown and limitation to income and work and people being laid off, corporates being closed and all of that people cannot afford to always pay for addiction recovery. But together we can feed a lot of people. Together we can help a lot of people. But how much of us are as willing as what Mr. Hall is? And the point I'm getting to with when it comes to the COVID and the lockdown and all of that and the salary cuts and whatnot, anybody can go to the street. And so many people, I promise you, over this season has been close to the streets. Because how much of South Africa is one paycheck away from the street? How much of South Africa is one paycheck away from the street? Because we're paying 100 or 200 rand for a packet of cigarettes. Doesn't that also make us addicts in some kind of way? But I bought these before the lockdown. I don't involve myself in illegal activities anymore. So, that young man understands. That young man understands that I've got a comment here. Hi Kurt, your police friend. Now today I'm on the right side of the police. I can't remember what I was saying now, because I just seen police there and I got paranoid. It's still in me. So, you know, if we can put together all these support groups and things like that, just my main point tonight is, first of all, to the recovering addicts, what are you giving back for your borrowed time? What I believe is grace and borrowed time that you are living on. And then to the families and things of addicts that are in recovery, what are we giving back, man? We cannot put ourselves above the things that we're really facing in this country. So I know I haven't spoken too long tonight, and I actually have to move up here on my screen because my comments aren't just popping up, and questions. And you know, because of the stigma of addiction, not everybody wants to go to meetings, so we've reached so many people that that are ashamed or afraid of their addiction. Yeah, glad when you're right. Well done, my brother. You're still sober. And you didn't have it easier. Because you baby an addict, you bury an addict. So, I'm going to give it over to Mr. Hall. And that was my main outcry tonight, you know. we don't wanna sound like we want handouts, but I implore people to try and take an interest to save our country from this pandemic. It's only going to get worse, and it affects the addict, the non-addict, and it's a dirty, ugly cycle of a spider web that just wrecks everything. And between the dealer, the pharmacy, and the cops, who is the addict actually in the situation? So almost in other words, if I can use this analogy, between the cigarette smoker, the pakkie, and the cops that also smoke, by the way, who is the weakest link in the situation? And who's actually getting taken for an arsehole here? Who are the killers, man? We need to stand together and give life to people. Give people hope. This man was in tears here today when we said yes, we can allow him into our quarantine section. And he was blessed with warm clothes and a shower and food and all the necessities, etc. And we'll keep you updated on his progress, on a man that no one would give a chance to, that would have probably, I don't want to say died, but was very close on his way to death if Mr. Hall didn't help him and take the decision to let him in. Would you have watched a man walk back down the gravel road like we watch the people at the robots, like we look down on addicts?
No, sir.
So I'm going to leave you with that thought tonight, people. But we can make such a big difference together. Really, we can. Just by sharing our meetings and things like that, we've given so many hopes. So many hope to families and people. So I'm gonna give it over to Mr. Hall tonight. Do you guys like my cup? I do, because I used to like drugs and now I like recovery and cigarettes. So thank you everybody again for attending tonight. Hopefully we had more viewers because it's a little bit rainy, especially in the Cape Town, South Africa, a lot of areas of South Africa, and they couldn't go out tonight. So hopefully you got something out of this. But please share this in the hope that you know, if you are in recovery or not, that it could reach somebody in need. God bless you all. From the RAEL organization, myself as well, and Mr. Hall. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thanks again to Kurt for sharing so well. And for a man who's got, like, I know his whole story, it's amazing that how far he's come today. Looking at this weather reminds me of years ago when I was on the streets and it used to rain like this, and be living in Johannesburg, Durban, East London, Port Elizabeth. And in those days, you know, you stepped on the cardboard in the doorways of shops or on the steps of a church or on a park bench. You had a newspaper over you, it was freezing, and you're calling out for God for help. And it was tough days, and you couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. There was no light at the end of the tunnel, because the light at the end of the tunnel at that stage was the train coming to knock me over. Today, 5 years ago, I addressed a large crowd in Ohio, America. Came up on my feed, and then I went to New York. And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that would have happened. Kurt spoke about the young man who came here today. We have people that rock up here, and they rock up here with an attitude. If you've got an attitude, go home or go wherever you want to, but don't come with an attitude here. But if you come with humility, even people say false humility, but you don't beg, because we're not God. We're just the servants. We're just the hands and the feet. And because Kurt and I have been on the streets, we know what it's like, man. We know what it's like to walk around a year and a half in the same clothes, no shoes, no teeth, unshaven. Some person put on a comment today, I look like Mel Gibson. That's hardcore. But I don't think I look like Mel Gibson. Maybe he looks like me. But we're all getting older at this stage, so we don't really want to go that way. I know Michelle does, because Michelle, our Maverick Queen. The other night I spoke, I'm just going to speak quickly now, because Kurt has covered the bases here. You know, and I see Michelle's friend Rihanna DeToy is also watching. They're both Mavericks regulars, and they're hoping for it to come down. I said, I can get my mum out of her old age home with my lawyer. I can't get Mavericks open, but I'm trying my best for them, just for the sake that they can have a bit of peace over their heads. The other night I spoke about, you know, with this cold weather and wet weather, we mustn't confuse it. It's almost, to me, it reminds me where I don't want to go back to. And it should remind addicts and alcoholics, that is where you're going to go if you don't bloody listen. If you want to get your mother and your father to enable you the whole time, they're going to watch you die. They're going to watch you die in their home. Take the chances that you get. Moms and dads give a lot of chances to their children. And no mother wants to give up on their child. Sorry, I've got other cigarettes here. They're cheaper than Kurt's. They're only about 30 or 3,000 rand a drag. Because us addicts, we make provisions. So we make provisions and things happen, etc., etc. And if you want vapes or anything, you must let me know, because I've got a contact for vapes. I don't care what the government is going to say. Because the government must first catch me, because I can say what I like, because there's freedom of speech in this country. As long as it's not derogatory, as long as it's not libel, and as long as I'm not offending anyone's rights. We must stand up as a nation and stop taking their shit and believe that we are all upstanding citizens of this nation. And we've got rights in this nation. If I'm going to go through my whole life worrying about what some people in a government are going to say, what I can do and what I can't do, as long as I'm going according to the law, and I'm going according to the constitution of this country, no one is going to tell me what I'm going to do or what I'm not going to do, because I've only got one life on this in this world, and so is all of us. Don't try and make a hostage out of good law-abiding citizens. And that's what happens in various fields. I got information today, and I'd love to share it tomorrow, the real information from a doctor of the COVID virus. It technically says it has got nothing to do with ventilators and this and that, but I must get to the whole story. And when you read it, or when you watch it, I'll post a link. When you watch it, you'll realize we've been conned somewhere along the way. How do we ask for forgiveness? We ask God for forgiveness. We don't go kiss each other's feet. I know Jesus did go and wash some feet and put ourselves in chains. People are being afraid. They're making themselves scared. What are you asking yourselves? What has this got to do with addiction? A lot. Because when we were drugged and when we were drunk, we had no voice. We were quiet. We just had to beg for the next hit. But not anymore. I don't have to chain myself up and walk down the street and kiss people's feet because my color of my skin is white or colored. Are you insane? These people aren't my God. My God's going to return one day. Huh? And he's going to ask us, hey, what are you doing? If I bow down to any other person but God, I'm a false prophet. Where are the churches during the pandemics? They were bloody closed. And I'm not talking about closed for services. I'm closed for taking people in, letting them sleep, feeding them. Because they take a tenth every month, and they take a big collection plate. I know one pastor owes me 75,000 rand here in Worcester. But they're money hungry, man. Instead of being people hungry. Reach out for God, and everything else will be added unto you. And I'm no saint at all. People who know me know I'm not a saint. It will all be added unto you. But we're scared to give because we want to give with a tight fist and expect a return. God cannot give us anything if our hands are tightly closed. When you've got, you give. I've lived my whole life like that. People know me from when I was 20 years old. And I've had nothing, and I've had a lot. Before I got sobriety, the only place that I ever went to was overseas, was Robben Island. I didn't even go see the jail where Mandela slept in because I wasn't interested. I've been in jail myself. What's the difference of the jail? Because Nelson Mandela slept there. You're out of your mind, man. Put people on pedestals. Hey, Michelle. Okay, there's a lot of... Okay. Sorry, there are messages coming through before I carry on. I'm not going to name all the names because in my luck, Helma Ora, that's it. The man who sends me my Bible reading every day. A man who knows me for 30 years when I was in the drug squad. Today sends Matthew 6:33. Hello, my brother. Nicole, Laura, everyone. There's so many. Dr. Michelle. Okay, so a lot of people asked me, and bear with me on this one. In our nation as we stand together, we can decide what road we want to take. Do I want to take the road of happiness, and that is the narrow road, or do I want to take the wide road? If I take the wide road, I'm going to get screwed. And not screwed in the sense of getting screwed. I mean getting screwed. Life is over. I can sit here all these years later, 15 years later, my mommy's next door here with her two nurses, fast asleep, fed, clean. Her son is here. And I made a little video today. I was just playing around there, sitting next to Mom. And I just said to Mom, you know, Mom, I love you so much. Which I tell her 10 times a day. And she just turned her head around and she said, I love you, my boy. And she went to sleep. That is better than me telling any arsehole who leads this country how great they are. Because they're not great, man. They got there because they were elected by their peers who didn't know any better. It's time we start waking up in this country, man. Time that we start waking up, because why don't they care about addiction? Because to lead an addicted nation is easy. The person isn't worrying about the next election or who's going to steal or we're going to put in one toilet for 20 billion rand or 20 million rand. They're worrying about their next fix. That's what we're worried about. So keep us drunk, keep the youth unemployed. What have you got? You got tyranny. You got a dictatorship. You get the old people who are getting too old to go to war. We've got the young people who've doesn't know what a firearm feels like. But they know what a drug feels like. And they know the effects of the drug. It's a systematic breakdown of the nation, of the youth, of the elderly. That's why we have got farm murders. The minister the other day said, not Becky Chelly, aka Chuck Norris, my friend, that we get our vegetables from Pick and Pay. Now, if that's the people leading us, then I'm scared and I'm afraid. But I'm not afraid to voice my opinion and to go out and do what I should be doing. We will never be afraid. But remember what I'm saying here tonight, my friends. A systematic breakdown of this society. Why do you think so many of our youth are addicted? Why do you think there are pathetic rehabilitation centers? Not the people, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. But you cannot go to rehab for 6 weeks. You cannot go to rehab for 3 weeks for 80,000 rand. It does not work. The reason it's 3 weeks and 4 weeks is because of medical aid. No medical science. There's the difference. It's like going to a doctor and asking her to remove a growth off your neck and she starts cutting your ankle. It's like going to a vet and trying to get eye surgery. It doesn't work. Let's not be blinded by falseness. It's time we as people stand up as we're getting older. What's going to happen to our children? What's going to happen to our children? Okay, so the other night people asked me about these slogans, and I got a couple of emails. Sorry, not emails, inboxes. So I'm just going to go through a couple here, because Kurt laid the foundation, Kurt the Great. He's just come back from his time off. He has more time off than me, but it's okay. He needs it because he works harder than me. Easy does it. Hey, Ma. They said to me at rehab, I must easy does it. After the second month, Mom says, tell me, does that easy does it still work? Because these are slogans. The slogans I'm giving you now are slogans used in recovery centers, not ours, in recovery centers and support groups all around the world. Why don't you go get a job, my boy, or go look for a job? Easy does it, Ma. The second one is first things first. We have to put first things first. We have to make our recovery solid, our life solid, and then we can go do the next right thing. Live and let live. The youngster comes through and he says to Mom says to him, when are you going to go get a job, my boy? Hey, Ma, just like live and let live. What kind are you? That's what they taught me in rehab, Ma. They didn't teach me like in the RAEL rehab, get off your bloody ass and go look for a job because you have to one day support someone. It's easy to make a baby, but it's very difficult to support a baby. Live and let live, Ma. Hey, Ma, you've been a bit hectic with me. All I want to do is chill, Ma. I'm trying to stay away from the dealer, Ma, and you are busy clapping with me, Ma. All I want to do is live and let live, Mom. Lazy bastards live and let live like that, man. One day at a time. And that is an important one. That's the one we love. We all do it, everything one day at a time. Let go and let God. Mommy comes through. My boy, don't you think you could mow the lawn? Hey, Ma, let go and let God. I will find it. I will hear it. It will come through to me in the spirit when I know I have to pick up the lawnmower and go and mow the lawn. We can't have any excuses because we are addicts or ex-addicts in recovery that we become lazy bastards. This too shall pass. Mom comes in and we have it often that the plate is under the bed. Mom's made the food, delivered it like a maid, and eating the food. This too shall pass, Mom. What shall pass? That one day that I won't be lazy enough to pick up my own bloody plate and take it to the sink because our mothers are not our maids. Expect miracles. Yes, I've seen many. I've seen so many beautiful miracles in my life. I've been blessed to see the miracles. I've got some of them sitting around them. The others are in the in our entertainment center. I've seen so many miracles. The man who spoke before me is a miracle, one of the biggest I've ever seen. Sorry, I'm just going to have a sip of Coke here. Nothing wrong with a Coke and an NC. Stick with the winners. You get people who come into recovery who try and stuff with the system. You will never beat the house. You'll never beat the house. Sobriety is a journey, not a destination. I came to believe. We don't pump religion here. We pump the spiritual part of it. I can't, but God could, if He was sought. It's like Dr. Toy and Michelle. Stay away from those two. They're going to get you into trouble. Because they're enablers. Live in the now. We've only got the now. So if you're living in the now, you're either happy or you're sad. You can't be in between. You can't be half pregnant. Even though I've never been pregnant, but you can't be half pregnant. Live in the now. Turn it over. Turn it over to God. When we stuck in the corner, when I was stuck on the streets and I was begging for help with no teeth, and you can imagine I'm an ugly oak with teeth, without teeth, and like I can't grow a beard. So it was like just, you know what I mean, what I looked like. I was a burgie. And I'd get up every morning and decide, okay, now which side do I go here? Do I turn left or do I turn right? In those days, you could hitchhike. So when I hitchhike, I ask someone, they'll say to me, Anthony, sorry, where are you going to, son? Because I was younger then. Where are you going to, uncle? I'm going to Durban. No, I'm going to Durban as well. Can I get a lift? Thank you very much. In this country and in addiction recovery, we must be part of the solution, not the problem. Addiction recovery and rehabs, etc., must have a lot of love, but it mustn't be enabling, and it mustn't be something that you don't and that you can't carry with you for the rest of your life. If we work on morals, values, discipline, and respect. We've lost it in this country. We've lost respect. We've lost respect for each other. No pain, no gain. And for people who are new in recovery and want recovery, don't play with your parents' money, man. Don't play with their feelings, man. Don't give your parents false hope. Man. Don't go to a recovery center because your back is against the wall, or you're going to prison, or you're trying to get the key back to the house, or maybe a car. Don't do it, man. Come and have a look at my mom lying next door here. Come and look at an 87-year-old ill woman that I tortured and tormented and held hostage, never physically but mentally, for 25 years. Come have a look. Come sit at her bedside. Will you be sober or all right to one day sit at your mother or your father's bedside? That's what we teach at RAEL. Because it's become too intellectual recovery. People want to use long words and big words, but they haven't got a bloody clue what they're talking about. Yeah, I will teach you to make your bed. And I will teach you to make your bed that you, and my leadership around me will teach you to make a bed that you will dream about making the bed while you are sleeping, so you can make the bed properly in the morning. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Angus. They're going out to make a delivery. Pass it on, like Kurt said. Pass it on to the still suffering. There's families suffering everywhere. Everywhere. There's children suffering. We need to get to this point where we're not feeling sorry. Don't feel sorry for me. Don't ever feel sorry for me or any addict that walked in here. Have empathy for us. We took the wrong choice. We're trying to make right. I have put many people off my farm who come here because they want a place to sleep, they want some food, and they want to get clothes from other people. They want their mothers to pay as little as possible. They want to stay until they look a bit fatter, and then they want to hit the road. Well, I'll go hit the road before the time, because here we're playing with people's lives. An attitude of gratitude. I'm grateful. I've got good people in my life. Got a good woman in my life. She drinks, but she only has 1 glass of wine a night, unlike Michelle, who has 2 or 3. And you may think I'm picking on these two, but this is an honest program. So I have to tell the truth. The truth shall set you free. The road to recovery is a simple journey for confused people with a complicated disease. That's all it is. That's all it is. And if you want it, you can get it. I just want to go through the messages here. True, someone has to be done, but by who? Hein, if we stand together, my brother. Thank you for what you're trying to do. Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you, Juanita. Iris, come and visit our church. The pastor is a living testimony how to serve people. Doing a great job, Anthony Hall. Thank you. Iris, Ashley. Yeah, you're right, Ashley. Government wants to focus on alcohol and drugs while our farmers are dying, our children are dying on the Cape Flats, our people are dying in Worcester, the people are stealing billions of rands, and they want to worry about where they're going to get their cigarettes from and who gets cigarettes. It's laughable, man. It's worse than a dictatorship. It's draconian. That's right, Karen. That's right. Sorry, I'm just going through you. Gaynor House, Barrack Street in Cape Town, a gentleman's club. Been there once when I was drunk. But if you need free tickets and that, you go to Michelle and Rihanna. They will organize free tickets because we're allowed to have fun. That's their fun, not mine. But like, you know. Thank you, Hein from Durban, my brother. And if I look down the road of I think it's the 8th or the 9th today. In less than 20 days, I'll celebrate 15 years of sobriety. I've got a beautiful daughter. I've had beautiful people come past my way. I've met beautiful people. I've met some dickheads. They probably said the same thing about me. I don't care. But I can tell you one thing. I value my sobriety more than anything else except God. Anything that gets in the way of my sobriety goes. Anything. I don't care what it is. Because I don't want to go back to prison. I don't want to go back to the park bench. I don't want to go back to having nothing. I don't want to go back to, after having everything in life, losing it all. My mission, RAEL, was built on blood. It was built on the blood and started on the blood of my nephew, who committed suicide at the age of 29 because he couldn't take his drugging anymore. The blood that he spilled to die, he paid the ultimate sacrifice. I will never ever allow someone to break that legacy that we are trying to build for him, ever. Some people come in and they want to play a game, and they want to play a game with our leadership, and they want to play a game with their parents. Luckily, I am not money driven for everyone that knows me. I'm far from money driven. I'm driven by trying to make a difference in some people's lives. That's the legacy I want to leave for my daughter. I want my daughter to remember me. By the grace of God, my daughter has never seen me drink because she wasn't born yet. One day I will tell you the story about jumping over the wall. But it's not for tonight. Let's think of, as Kurt spoke there, let's think of the still suffering addict and alcoholic. But there's another thing. With so many hairdressers, people that can't work for themselves, people that can't get income at the moment, it's the strip who. What people took packages and opened up small businesses that today can't earn a living? A lot of South Africans are 1 or 2 paychecks away from the streets. And they're not alcoholic or addicts. But they will turn into alcoholics and addicts to survive on the streets. I'm going to say this again. It's a systematic breakdown of our society, which is sad. I tell the men that are here, go out there, get a job, no matter what job you get. As long as you put in an honest day's work. But honor thy mother and father at all times. Honor thy mother and father at all times. Something Anthony Hall did not do. But I did it before it was too late. And I made amends before it was too late. The alcohol was my master. The bottle was my master. And everything that went with it became my master. I'm just sorry. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Gaynor. You got your answer from Michelle. What's this about Diane and Karen? Lap dancing, extras, etc. Okay, that's beyond my reach. I don't know what you people are talking about. And Durban, Gaynor, I'm their driver. Okay, Gaynor, hardcore. Lovely. So it's Gaynor, Rihanna, and Michelle Kurt. They're on a roll together. At least you got a doctor in Rihanna just in case anything happens. Yeah, you see, you know what is long. This pathetic government is making most of the country stress out. And when stress out comes alcohol and comes drugs. Why don't we give God a chance? And I'm not Bible punching now. God could and would if he was sought. He saved my life. I was on the park bench. And by the grace of God, in less than 20 days, I'll celebrate a milestone. But that doesn't mean the end. That means just the beginning. I want to take RAEL to new heights. I'm looking for a small farm that I can open up a kibbutz. I've been to Israel 3 times. I love Israel. I love the Israelis. I love the Jews. That I can take in our youngsters, our young men, and we'll get women as well to lead it, that they come and work the fields and teach them a skill. We've got panel beating on this farm. Hi, Conrad. We've got panel beating on this farm. We can teach them. We've got an IT specialist who is an IT specialist, because most people who come in here are IT specialists until they open the computer. We got a chef. Kurt Schuller's a top chef. We've got people with skills here. And I want my dream of that is written in my constitution many years ago that I don't often talk about, is my little home school here. Because what happens when the kids get caught with drugs at their school, they get thrown out into the wilderness. Where do they go to? Where do they go to? And that's what I pray we can do. That we can get a farm and take our youth off the streets. Take our youth away from these Nigerians. And that's not being homophobic, that's just being truthful. Because the people that we're trying to save at the moment is 0.01%. Our youth are dying. When they're famous, when people are famous and they die of addiction, they get front page news and the headlines of that communist TV station called CNN. But what happens if one of our boys and girls die? They don't even get a mention in the newspaper. Lucille, thanks Lucille, bless you. Yeah, it's true, Michelle, he was desperate because he traveled, he walked, he hitchhiked, and he came here and he was drenched, and it wouldn't have mattered what color he was. Okay, so it is cold in Worcester, Craig. Luckily we got a little fire inside, a little humble fireplace inside. And you know what we often, and I say to the guys here, we often forget the people who are behind us, who we don't know, who we've never met, the people who pray for us, the people who send me lovely messages. We often forget them. So let me tonight, for those who are on board, say thank you. Thank you so much for supporting us. Thank you for being our other side, our other little backbone that gives us a nudge when we think we've made it. When we lose humility, when we become arrogant, when we become that we know this game better than anyone else. We can never afford to become that. In that, humility has to become our teachability. Pray for the children. Pray for our kids out there. I've always been like this and I always will be. I will stand up for the underdog, and I've got so many people who support me in standing up for that underdog. One was, when I think of, I see a name here, Gladwin Kutsi. He had a hard time here. We clashed heads for a long time. But at the end of the day, we're friends now. And he's sober, his mother's happy, and life can go on. I've always said to them, people don't have to like me. I'm not here in a popularity contest. I got someone who loves me. But if I can carry a message to you that can keep you sober for the rest of your life and restore morals, respect, values and discipline into your lives, you will never forget me. But you don't have to like me. I'll just see if there's any other things here, because tonight was just the... Angus said to me earlier, I must tell you this little, not a joke. He says to me, Mr. Hall, now Angus has been with me about 3 years. He says to me, Mr. Hall, it would be lovely if I had a nice glass of wine here. But he was joking, and another man's wife. And I said, yeah, that's how we did think in the pastor. And he laughed. We have a lot of fun here. But I tell you, when it comes to addiction recovery, we take no shit. If you want to recover, you can come to us. And you will be accepted with love. But if you want to go play games, go to Newlands. Anyway, people, as we go into this cold weather, we think of those outside that are cold, hungry, mothers, fathers, and children. And we pray that we will stand up, that we will never surrender. We will never surrender, South Africa, and for my friends around the world where it's also chaos. And we'll continue the love, the unconditional love of those who are in our lives and those who are still to come in our lives. Thank you all for the prayers for my mommy, and thank you for the prayers for me. Thank you for the prayers for RAEL, and thank you for the prayers for everyone suffering in this once great nation. God bless you, and God keep you until we meet again. Thank you.